did the tutorial of the Anastasia Subculture palette. I'm gonna give a little bit of background as to why I bought the palette, of all the videos that I've seen and everything, and I just want to give my point of view. Everything I learned, everything that I experienced with this palette, I'm going to talk about in this video. First off, if you didn't know, yes, I work in Sephora. And if you didn't know, at Sephora we do get training from brand reps that get educated from either the brand itself, either their trainers and all that jazz. The Anastasia Subculture palette came out. It explained that it was a fall palette, great fall colors, mustards and dark colors, basically just a fall palette that, you know, you could do many looks with. So when I first saw the palette, I was like, yes, I need that yellow, I need the orange, I need all of it. So when I started seeing videos on the palette, I started to get taken back a little bit. I was like, oh, do I want to buy it? A lot of people don't like it. They say that there's a lot of fallout. It just doesn't blend very well. Things I started to analyze how people use it, what products they use. And then when we finally got the brand training day with our trainer for Anastasia, she showed us how to use it. Basically, what she showed us is that little goes a long way. And I say this with a lot of emphasis because little does go a long way. The technique is important, your tools are important, and honestly this palette does have a lot of fallout, but I'm not gonna lie, just so as the Modern Renaissance palette. I have two of her palettes already. I have the Modern Renaissance and the Self-Made palette, and both of these palettes give fallout. Like my Anastasia, I've already hit pan on Raw Sienna and Burnt Orange because I use it so much, but because I use it so much, it does tend to have a little bit of fallout. So I'm not gonna lie, her eyeshadows do have a lot of fallout, but they're pigmented. With the Subculture palette, I don't think a lot of people was ready for the pigmentation of this palette. As we all know, as artists, we usually do things the way we would do things, the way we experience things, the way we always do. We go in, use a primer, use a brush, apply it on. With this one though, little goes a long way. When we were swatching it in store, one swatch give you enough pigmentation. Some of these colors, especially the more shimmery colors like Cube, Electric, and Adorn, those colors you use your fingers with. Like with your fingers, they work perfectly fine. Also, when I was applying the eyeshadows on today, I noticed using a natural bristle brush was a little bit more helpful than using something synthetic. I feel like the natural bristles picked up the pigment a little bit better and blended them better. So yes, I'm gonna say that this palette does have a lot of fallout, but when you tap it once and go straight into your eyes, you should be okay. I think it's the urge to stop using these shadows the way you usually would use other shadows. You kind of get a different feel for it. We can't use the same technique for every product. So this palette retails for $42, just like all her other palettes, and my favorite colors have to be of course the warm colors. So Roxy, New Wave, Edge, these are like my go-to colors. All Star is really pretty as well, so is Rowdy. Axis is beautiful, Electric, and all of them are beautiful. I honestly think that this palette is worth it. I think the reviews that were given off with first impressions is something that needs to take into consideration, that they didn't really know how to use the product. They weren't anticipating it to be this pigmented, and they weren't anticipating the technique that they were using. Before you decide that you don't want to buy the palette and you don't want to get it because of all the negative feedback on it, I want to challenge you guys to go into Sephora or Macy's or wherever that sells Anastasia, swatch the palette first, ask them to teach you how to use it, and then make your decision off that. Try not to let others influence your decision. I honestly at first had a hard time with the palette because I too was using it the way I normally would with other eyeshadows. I was packing on my brush and I was applying a lot, but I noticed again, little goes a long way. And also taking your time with these ones, they're so buttery, they don't need to be buffed out really heavily. All in all, I think this is a great palette. I feel like everybody should at least give it a chance instead of automatically assuming it's a shitty palette. You can do many looks with this palette, so I am going to show you guys what I created. I tried to incorporate most colors, but again, I didn't touch all of them, but I will do more videos on the Subculture palette because this color block of yellow and blue is just pretty. So I'm gonna try do another tutorial incorporating that kind of color scheme. So here is the palette. Again, you got 14 shades. The only shade that is a repeat is Fudge. I really do think that the education piece is missing with this palette. A lot of people were just giving their opinions on it, that they weren't actually teaching people how to use it. Again, this was mainly focused on the eye, so I didn't incorporate like my foundation, lip color, and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to know all of that, just look in the description box below. So without further ado, let's go in and learn how to do this tutorial. Okay, so I've already done this eye, and I already applied a eyeshadow base, and I used the NARS Soft Matte Concealer in Ginger as my base. From the palette, I'm gonna pick up Dawn first, and I'm just gonna apply this all over my eyelid as my eyeshadow base slash setter. The first color I'm gonna pick up is Rocks. I'm gonna use a Sephora number 10 blending brush, and I'm just gonna pick up one dab into Roxy, and I'm gonna blend that into my crease. And I am going to blend that up all the way in my orbital bone, and I'm just doing circular motions. So I'm going again into Roxy, and I feel like these eyeshadows blend better with natural bristle brushes better than synthetics, because I feel like they just pick up the color better. That's just personal preference, but don't quote me on it. Do whatever works for you. So this is 2 layers of Roxy on, and the way I'm doing my eyeshadow is I'm creating this round shape because that's the kind of shape we're going for the eye look. So from the palette, I'm gonna pick up All Star, which is this eyeshadow here, and it's like a dark plum maroon color. I picked it up on a MAC 221 brush. It's a very thin blending brush, and that's just gonna go in my crease area, and I'm gonna create that moon shape. So I'm going in this motion as so, and I'm first doing the windshield wiper motions, and then I'm gonna incorporate my circular motions to blow this out. And take your time when it comes to blending, because you only are using this, you're using eyeshadows very, very lightly, so you want to make sure that when you're blending very lightly as well. And I'm gonna bring the upper part of this look higher. So I'm going to extend this higher up into my brow bone. Not all the way up, but I want to make it higher. So now I got a good amount of color on there. I'm going to pick up my first blending brush, and I'm going to go along the harsh edges. Pick up a little bit more of that color Roxy and blend it along the edges again. Now this part is just to blend out the harsh lines of the second color, the All Star color, and blending it into the Roxy color. So now I'm gonna go back in with the MAC 221 brush, but what I'm going to do is I'm gonna now pick up the color Axis. If I can find my brush. So yeah, I'm gonna pick up the color Axis all the way in the end, this nice teal color, and I'm gonna blend that in my crease as well, a little bit below the All Star color, and I'm gonna blend that on my eyelid. So now that you do that, you do lose a little bit of the All Star, so I'm gonna mix All Star in with whatever's left on my brush from the Axis, whatever, and blend the 2 colors together. I'm gonna go back in with my first blending brush, and I'm gonna blend out the harsh edges of this area here. So we got this finished eye look going on. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do the rest of my face, and then I'm gonna come back and do the lower smoke of the eyeshadow. Alright guys, so I have my foundation on, and I'm just baking a little bit. For the bottom part of my eye, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up Edge and New Wave, and I'm going to mix those two together first, and I'm going to run that along my lash line. And the mustard yellow and the tangerine orange is going to make a nice transition color, I guess, for the lower lash line. And I'm going to use my wrinkles as a guide as to how far I want to bring it down. So then I'm going to pick up Rowdy and All Star together, and I'm going to run that along. So that's the lower lash smoke with the smoke eye. I'm going to pick up a little bit of Electric from the palette, and I'm going to pop that right in my inner corner, and this is just going to highlight the eye just a little bit. Alright, I'm just going to take my blending brush one more time and just run along edges so that everything is blended well. What I'm gonna do is put lashes on, finish up the rest of the face. So this is the finished look with all the makeup on, with the lashes on. And as you can see, we got a really deep smoky eye going on. And I'm not mad at it. It does take a little bit of working with the palette to kind of understand how to use the eyeshadows. Leave me any of your feedback on the Subculture palette down below, because I would like to know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to stay beautiful.